Hey guys, what's up? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Saturday. Saturday. Saturday morning for me. Continuing on with the room tour, which 9 weeks ago or 2 months ago, I didn't have any boxes of figures coming in, and I was like, well, let's give a quick room tour. We'll just take figures off the shelf, put them in front of the camera, and we'll talk about them. And I figured for some insane reason that would go through 200 figures in 2 hours, 120 minutes. So I assumed in my mind that I'd be able to take 30 seconds, take a figure off, put it in front of you, and put it back. 30 seconds. That's insane. So it didn't happen that way. It's turned into now a 9-part series. This is probably going to wrap this up. I don't know. I think we're probably down to the end. We've got the villains to do. There's some of the Avengers that I didn't do that are from the Age of Ultron. We've got Wakanda, which I haven't gotten to yet. And I think that's it. Still haven't received anything from Big Bad Toy Store, which is shipping my, I hope, my War Machine um, Punisher. Not received any notification that they have it in stock yet. Everyone else has received theirs. So as soon as that gets notified to me, it'll be shipped to me. So I probably won't have it next Saturday because I've not even received an email that they even have it for me available yet. Captain Marvel, everyone's getting their Captain Marvels. Let's see what else is people getting. I think Nebula's even been released. I don't even know. Toy Mafia, what's going on? Yo, Save on Mason, how you doing? Ghost Tab, what's up? Hi, Hamburger. I'm not even sure what your name is, but it says Hamburger. So, Hamburger, back to you. I'm with you. And afternoon. Wow, afternoon. It's hot here in sunny California. Hot. Hot. It's been over 100 degrees many days. Some of you are like, 100, that's nothing. We see 120. Well, God bless you. So, it's been hot lately. All right, so let's kick this off. I think everything over here is done. I think we've gone through everything on this shelves. This side of the room, I believe we're done on. Start with Ben Kingsley. The Mandarin, oh my goodness. So here's one of those 4 characters that somehow was destroyed in the movie. In the comics, he's a bad dude. Very bad dude. And he wears these 10 rings that each ring does something, more or less. And when that translated into the movies, they started off with a great story and a great idea and a great plan and a great bad guy. And then for some reason, they decided to shift gears. And I think it left a lot of people sincerely disappointed in things. They tried to make up for it a little bit, and they made a little short movie, Marvel did. I think it's called Hail to the King. And it follows up with the Mandarin, or Trevor, in jail. And still leaves a big, huge open space of where we actually are going from here. But it just really destroyed the whole thing. I think this actor did an amazing job. Ben Kingsley did an amazing job portraying the Mandarin, and he was totally 100% hated in the beginning of the movie. Then all of a sudden, psh, they're still making reference to the Ten King after that, because in Ant-Man there was the guy was wearing the tattoo on his neck of the 10 rings. So I don't know. I don't know what their plan is, if they're going to do him justice as he should be. But he comes with this little throne because we see him sitting in such, and he was a steal. I mean, brand new. I think they were selling him for $200 thereabouts. And after it was all said and done, I was able to pick this guy up for $50, brand new, from Big Bad Toy Store. And it's a crying doggone shame that that's what happened to him. And of course, he stands up. He's a figure. He's an action figure. He can be posed any way you want him. I just keep him in his little throne that he came with, and he's really nice figure. And I love this actor Ben Kingsley. He's my wife is very fond of him, so she was pleased to see him in the movie. But what they did to him was just horrendous. They should have kept him a true on bad guy. And I don't know what they can do or how they might plan on fixing this. If they even plan on fixing it, I have no idea what their intention is, but they surely need to. They surely need to make him a bad guy. Somehow. Let's say, for instance, that possibly Adrian went in there and God, what's his name? And messed with his brain or somehow and made him forget that he is who he is, or who knows. Let's get him unbrainwashed from being the actor that he thinks he is back to being the Mandarin or something. I really would like to see that. Maybe Ben Kingsley would reprise that role. I have no idea. But yeah, it was just a crying shame. They started making this really, really, really super bad guy, and then they ended up screwing it all up. But that's my Mandarin, and I'm happy to have him, and I'm glad that I got him at such an absolute steal. I mean, and he has his rings. He's got those 10 rings. I've seen people that have actually bought extra sets of these specifically just to cut the rings off of the hands and to have the rings individually. And he's great. Let's take these glasses off. See his face. Get back in there for you. See his face there. But yeah, this is the Mandarin. The neutered Mandarin maybe would be a better way of explaining him. And it's a crying shame, and I think that's probably why he was selling for so little, $50. And here's the thing too, is that villains are hard to sell in the first place. I mean, we one of you out there, I forget, oh, I'm sorry, is a villain collector, and there are people who just don't want the villains. They want just the heroes, the good guys. And so there's some people who collect the villains specifically. And so he was a hard sell in the first place because he's a villain. But for them to destroy him on top of that, yeah, that was just wrong. That was wrong to do. But I think he did a great job bringing the Mandarin to life. Just got shortchanged on his whole story. So what's my next villain I have here? Ah! Speaking of the 10 rings, needless to say. So this is a head sculpt that came with the Iron Monger. So if you were to buy the Iron Monger from Iron Man, the first movie, you could open him up, and I'll go get him next. And you could then put this head sculpt in there in a little bust. And I've decided not to display the Ironmonger open, showing the bust. So I decided to kit bash, or to buy a suit and a body, and to put Obadiah up. So Obadiah was, the caretaker of Stark Industries, and we find later that he's a bad guy. So, working with the 10 rings. So let me go get the Ironmonger. So this is just a suit. I don't remember who made this suit. I have no idea. And they're difficult to dress. I'm sure there's, you guys have a better idea of how to press all this down to get it so it fits him perfectly. Because I guarantee you, he wouldn't be wearing a clown-fitting suit. Obadiah Stane, the CEO of Stark Industries, caretaker of the inheritance of Stark, would have been very well dapperly dressed. There would have been no question about that. Wouldn't be so sloppy. Let's go get Ironmonger. Let's talk about him. So here's a beast of a figure right here. When this came out, it was the biggest. I don't believe that he had even made a Hulk yet at this point. Maybe they had. I don't remember, to tell you the truth. But this beast of a figure, it's before the Mark 38, Igor, way before the Hulkbuster. And man, oh man, oh man. So you can display him with or without the little rockets on the back here. I've done a full review on him elsewhere. And he's articulated. You can crack him open, move him about as you wish. Did a great job with him. He's pre-die cast. He's totally plastic. Just about every single one of these, however, have these cracks that form right in here. And I discuss this specifically in my unboxing video, the cracks. So you can definitely see them. And I've not seen a figure yet that doesn't have them on them. I'm sure maybe one of you guys lucked out and have one that didn't crack up. But everyone I've seen totally cracks up. And he's got all these articulated pistons and such. They really did a great job in putting him and designing him and then building him. Got a little piece here that's come out. Need to put it back in. But in comparison to when they did the Mark 35 or Mark 36, where they didn't have any of the pistons for the most part moving, it was just a huge disappointment. From this to that, just a huge disappointment, because these pistons, they move. The little missile slides in and out. You can reposition that. Same thing with his little Gatling style machine gun. Moves, it spins and slides in and out. The hands obviously articulated. Have this one in a punch, this one in an open grab, and he was just a complete full-on beast. And he opened up, like I said, and then Obadiah stain can go inside of him. I'm not going to open him. He's a little difficult to mess with, and I don't remember exactly the procedure on doing all of that. But again, the review video of him, we do all of that. This is the Iron Monger, and I doubt seriously we will ever see this figure released. This is it, one and done, and either you have him or you don't. You don't have to trace him down, and that would make him very expensive. And I don't give a damn about you guys out there that'll say, how dare you ever try to sell a figure for more than what you paid for it? If you're selling this figure more than $350, which is what he cost brand new, you're ripping people off. Well, bite me. If you want my Iron Monger, you're going to pay more than $350 for it, I'll tell you that much. That's a fact. So, simple as that. You won't get another one. Hot Toys doesn't love you so much to make you another Iron Monger. Some of you that believe that Hot Toys loves you so much, they're making the Mark 47 again for you because they didn't think scalpers were treating you fairly. Where's Iron Monger? Riddle me that. Riddle me this. Loki. So in my lack of ever finding, and speaking of having to pay for the figure if you want it, ever finding an Avengers, a Loki, I bought this outfit, which was beautifully done. Comes with the cane, and it was the only way of getting the scepter and the cane. And he's from that scene in Germany. So it's amazing. I've bought the head sculpt off of eBay. Paid, I don't remember, $40 for it. Seems to be the going rate for head sculpts thereabouts. And then just put them onto this body. And I think it looks really good in comparison to how he was portrayed in that scene in the movie when Loki first meets the Avengers. He's a dapper man. Very dapper. I'm very, very pleased to have him. And like I said, it was the only way you got the cane that he carried was with this set. So there are several incarnations of this scepter that you could get through the different Hot Toys figures. But if you wanted this, you had to buy this accessory set that they sold. And it was literally for Loki. So I was very happy to jump on this and put them together. So this is my Loki that I've had forever. Well, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. But I bought him again because Loki was like $800. And even though we've talked about this before, I'll bring this bad guy over. So this is the new Loki from Ragnarok. And I actually like that head sculpt better than this one. But since we're talking about bad guys, and since I just had the Loki out, and like I said, we already gone over him earlier. I talked about him when I did the Avengers shelf. But he really isn't Avengers. He's the god of mischief, right? So he goes wherever he wants to go. Good guy, bad guy, whatever's going to best suit his requirements, needs, or will. But this is, because we're talking about the bad guys, I decided to bring them over. I'm not going to drag out Thanos, some of the others that we already talked about. But decided to bring Loki over. Give you side by side. And like I said, this head sculpt I think is better. It's a Hot Toys head sculpt than the new one, which is unusual. Normally they get better over time. This time he did not. He looks good with the helmet on. You take the helmet off, something's wrong. I don't know what it is. There's something very wrong with the figure at that point. His head just doesn't, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But keep the helmet on, he's fine. Take the helmet off, something doesn't sit right with me at that point, and I don't know what it is. And that's fine, because I want his helmet, right? In all honesty. Continuing on, bad guys. Mickey Rourke, right? Mickey Rourke. That's who played this, right? So amazing watching him go from 9.5 weeks to this. He's truly a character actor. He did a great job bringing Ivan, forget his name, Jenko, to life. And I think this is a pretty good figure. I wish he didn't have all the little seams in him. But they put all the tattoos on his body, which works. But if you were to use a seamless body, this would be one that I would think should surely deserve one. And so this is the Whiplash Mark 1. The hell is that on his nose? Interesting. I actually have 2 of these head sculpts. So let's go get the other one. The other head sculpt is on Whiplash Mark 2, because I wanted to have him without his helmet. Whiplash Mark 2 didn't come with him. When he takes his helmet off, when he's battling Rhodes and Tony Stark at the exposition, he takes the helmet off and we get his whole head. And so in the Whiplash Mark 2. And so I hated that we didn't get that. We just have like the face mask was off and didn't give us the whole head, so I bought another head, put it on that. So I'll definitely do that with this. Something's happened to his head. He damaged his nose there somehow. I'll have to look into that. This lights up pretty poorly. It was an old figure. They're still figuring things out. They could have done a much better job at it, truthfully. It's supposed to be sending the light through here. You see him lit up right in there, but it doesn't. The light doesn't go anywhere. It's a little battery pack right there on his back. So people complained about the uniform, that it didn't look exactly like it should in the movie. It's one of those things. But I seen Denobi had replaced this with an organic light strip. It's really good. I have not thought about that. This is Whiplash. So what do my robots do? I can give you a hand salute. Hand salute, what is that? Hand salute. I could give them a hand salute. It's not my bird. Where's my bird? You should have come with a bird. Where's this bird? Let's go with Mark II. Let's see where we at. Save on. There you go. There's the villain's guy. Yeah, I think they did a great job with the head sculpt on Ben Kingsley's figure here. Steel Man. So many good figures that I won't be able to find one favorite only. Yeah, that's a question that is asked of me. Which one's my favorite? And actually, it changes. So today's favorite might not be tomorrow's favorite or next week's favorite. It's hard to say there's one specific one that's absolutely my favorite. And that's the truth. It's really hard. Let's go get the Mark II Whiplash. This is a die cast. I don't remember if this is the diorama that came with him or not. But this is really nice beastly figure. And again, the light up on it doesn't travel through the wire. Which again, if you were to replace it with an organic light strip, you could do that. Could be done. But this is pretty neat. Let's wrap these around here. So how I display him is battling the Mark VI and War Machine. I have them before there, and I stretch these out in between the two in my little diorama, if you will, that I created. These, of course, will flip down, lock into place as we've seen in the movie, and he's die cast. This is one of the original die cast figures. He didn't come with the head sculpt, if you remember. I was just talking about that. So this is the head sculpt from Whiplash Mark I. It just came with the helmet, and then you could open the helmet up to see his face. Two helmets, essentially. And again, this was another, not well-liked figure. It sat on the shelf for a very long time, although he's an amazing piece. And he's die cast. But people just don't care for the villains. Except for Savon Mason, who's a villain collector. And myself, who's an everyone collector. But a lot of people are just 1, 2, 10 figures, and they're pleased with that. They've got their figures. They've got their Spider-Man. They got their Iron Man. You know, they've got their Captain America. They don't need the others. And I respect that and understand that totally. But if you didn't get one, tracking one down, I don't know what they sell for. I don't have any idea if they go up in price, the villains do or not. I know Ironmonger is. But it's another one that's not going to be remade. They won't remake. This is already die-cast in the first place. What would be the point? He's dead, right? He blew himself up. So there is no more Whiplash. Maybe a son of Whiplash. To come back to avenge his father. My name is Inigo Montoya. I am Whiplash Mark III. Prepare to die. But Tony's already dead. So who would he be taking vengeance on? His daughter? But as we all know, Marvel characters and death are pretty rare. Even in the cinematic universe. How are you liking the Spider-Man Armor Mark IV? Yeah, oh my God, I debated making a video on that. Next thing you know, everybody and their brother had made one, and I was like, I don't know if I feel like making one. And so here I am. I'm watching it on Hot Toys, and then bam, it went up for pre-order on Sideshow. I'm watching the Big Bad Toy Store site, and I'm like, I want to order it from Big Bad Toy Store because shipping is less, and most times you don't have to put a deposit down. And I mean, the difference of shipping is between $4 from Big Bad Toy Store and $22 from Sideshow. Pay $18 more for a figure whenever I buy it from Sideshow. So I really wanted to buy it from Big Bad Toy Store. I'm watching Big Bad Toy Store, kept refreshing the page, and then boom, it popped and sold out. I was like, are you absolutely freaking kidding me? So I've ordered it from Sideshow. So which means I'll probably get mine in 2022 while you guys get yours. He's really nice in regards to that luminescent body paint that they put all over it, because without the light on, he just looks like a red and blue figure with the green halo around his spider emblem. But when you kick on that UV light, all the little hexagons pop up all over him. Looks really, really, really neat. And I don't, he looks like he's going to be made just like the Iron Spider in regards to the suit itself, as far as the material that they use for that. And that's cool. I just hope that that doesn't fall apart, that shiny material doesn't dissolve over time. But no, definitely I ordered one for fact. You better believe it. I was surprised to see that one, especially after they had already previewed. What was the other one? What was the one they previewed last year? Forget which Spider-Man it was. But they previewed another one already previously. And with the minifigures, they showed other Spider-Man figures that they were making. I pray to God that they don't consider that their release. You know, the 2099 black and white versions and the Spider-Ox suit and the classic suit. And then they're like, oh, we're done. We've already made those figures. Nah, we need them in 1/6 because I'm not buying the minifigures. I'm not going to waste my money on the minifigures. Though, I would say, as a backdrop, they would be a neat diorama. You know, you put them behind your Spider-Man, and it would be a nice backdrop diorama. I could see that. But I want the 1/6 figures. So, yeah, needless to say, I was very happy to drop my $25.50 security deposit on the Sideshow Collectibles site to get my Spider-Man, which I'll be the last person on the planet to be shipped it. And that's fine. But it is what it is. And I want them all. I want them to make every single VGM Spider-Man that there was. And hell, go even beyond that. You've got the license. He is truthfully, Marvel will tell you this, time in and time out and again and again and again, Spider-Man is their moneymaker. Period. If Marvel's wanting to make some money, they're cranking out a Spider-Man. If Marvel's trying to push a new um, character, they're cranking them out in Spider-Man. Marvel wants to make money, it's a Spider-Man. Spider-Man is their moneymaker, it's their go-to. He is their Superman, if you will, which has always been DC's big moneymaker. I mean, Wolverine and the X-Men and Iron Man and all that are huge moneymakers, obviously, for the studios, and people love those characters as well. But Spider-Man is their guy, hands down. And Hot Toys should be all over that. They should be releasing a freaking Spider-Man every month. I hate to say it. And I don't have the money to pay for one every month, in addition to everything else. But they should crank out a Spider-Man every month. They really should. I mean, how many VGMs are there? Like 30, 40 would there be? I don't even know. How many's in the movie, in the video game? Like 30 or 40 characters. Crank them out. I'd buy every single one of them. Every one I would buy. In the case of Star Wars, the villains look aesthetically better. Yoda and Alec Guinness get a pass. I haven't really paid that much attention to the Yodas, but yeah, I've seen some that I didn't much care for, but I think there was one that I did like. And I've also not looked very much into the Ben Kenobi from A New Hope. I hate calling it that. But I need him for my land speeder, so I'll be hunting him down one of these days. As someone who only collects the villains, their pricing is weird. Most people don't buy, right? So they're priced high when someone wants to sell, but then they keep lowering it because they don't sell. Oh, yeah. So I bet you really make out in regards to being able to add to your collection the previously released figures that are no longer available because they're difficult to get rid of. Is that what you're saying? I have the same problem with Mac. Forgive me, I don't know if it's Macross or Macross. I have no idea. Soul of Chogokin. It goes for pre-order but sells out immediately from Ami. So I pay $50 more from other retailers. Oh yeah, God, it really, it just bothers me. And on top of that, I don't know what the hell I did to piss off Sideshow, but then I'm like the last person to get it. It's funny. I remember when I contacted him when I got my first R5D4. When I got my R5D4, pulled his little eye, the thing popped up. I pushed it back down. Pulled his eye a second time. It wouldn't pop up. It was a bad piece. And so I contacted them and I said, my R5D4 has a bad motivator. They didn't respond. They literally ignored me, like as if I was being a jokester or something. And so I had to constantly harass them in order to be able to return my R5D4 and get one with a good motivator. A good bad motivator. And my Whiplash 2 came and he wasn't lighting up on, I think it was the head scope didn't light up. I don't remember. And you'd have to give it a little tap to get it to light up. And I told him that too. And I sent them videos on it saying, look, doggone thing doesn't light up. Tap, 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 tap. And it took forever and a day to get anything handled on that to get a new figure. And it just never had a good relationship with Sideshow for some reason. I have no earthly idea why. I don't have any idea why, but I've had those two exchange problems with them. I did eventually get the figures replaced, but it was way more work than what was necessary in order for them to honor sending me. And it wasn't their fault. They don't send them out. They don't make them. Well, they made R5D4, but still, I wasn't blaming them. Should have blamed them for the R5D4 though. So it is that I've seen that's constantly been going up is Hella. Oh my God! I sold her because I needed to because of the medical bills, and I was happy that she had gone up to what she had gone up to. I think she doubled in price, and I so want her back, and I will get her back one of these days. You know, people will have their list, their Holy Grail list, the figures that they so desire and demand and wish that they had and want to add to their collection, and they seek them. I have a list of Holy Grails, and Hella is now on that list because I sold her. I will buy her back. And the only bad thing about that is, obviously, when I bought her brand new. So I knew the exact condition that she'd always been in. And there have been times when I've bought figures, for instance, my Mark IV gantry that I'd bought, I had to repair the figure after getting it because it was sent to me damaged. There are people out there that are just not trustworthy, and it's unfortunate. So examine the pictures closely, because all they got to say when you contest it with eBay or whomever, and you say they sent me some busted up crap, the seller responds with the photograph that was on the page that will show the crack. And it's so funny because they'll like pick a picture of the entire thing, and like right here will be a little crack or something, or the arm will be turned so you can't see the little missiles on there, but you could clearly see that the missiles aren't there, or that there truthfully is a crack in that figure or a scratch on it or whatever. And if you didn't pay that much attention to it, if you're flipping through your phone and you're like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna get that, it's a great price, bam, and you buy it, you got no recourse, dude. So make sure you inspect those photographs beautifully, perfectly, and zoom in on them when making that purchase. Otherwise, you're going to be doing some repairs. And as far as things go, every hot toy collector knows you've got to have glue for your hot toys because they're going to need to be repaired sooner or later. Six of one, half dozen of the other. I had the same concern with Spider-Man 29.99. They release another Spider-Man line, they'll shut down the rest of the PS4 costumes, like with the Hall of Armor. I pray to God that they please, dear Hot Toys God, please continue the Iron Legion or the Hall of Armor or House Party Protocol figures, whatever you want to call them, slash and or re-release them as diecast. Please, pretty please, pretty please with sugar on top. Please, for real. If nothing else, finish out the line, crank out some of the old plastic ones so we can kit bash them ourselves, like Terrence has done out there in Singapore. He's made them all. He's got all of his figures. He's kit bashed them into the rest of the Hall of Armor. And I suppose I would have to buy Mark 7s, plastic ones, turn them into, the pieces that are missing. God, that would be sincerely expensive. You'd have to buy probably another 15 Mark 7s just to be able to bust them all up to turn them into the rest of the Hall of Armor. But please make them, for real, please make them, pretty please, with big sugar on top. Give us the rest of the Hall of Armor, for fact. Just have them. Make it so. And a lot more of a reasonable price than you would think. Right, the villains. Let's go, for instance, I got for 270 shipped, 100% perfect condition, beautiful. I got Whiplash Mark II for $300 shipped. Yeah, and I think I paid more for him on that. Always keep glue to use. Robert Justifan, happy Saturday. Been missing you, man. Looking for Briscoe. So where are we at in regards to the villains? Aha. So I think we're at Ultron. Let me look over here real quick before going to Ultron. Well, you know what? Yeah, let's go. We'll go to Ultron. We've already went through Red Skull a week or so ago. I think that's where we are now is Ultron. And then we'll move on to the Tony Starks that I haven't talked about. So I think that's all of the villains. And we'll see if we can't get to Wakanda up there. We never got all the Ultrons, by the way. And we never got the Iron Legion. We got 1 of 5. And the paint on him is so beautiful. Again, Terrence had the other 4 made. The paint is so beautiful. And I'm no true customizer. I'm definitely, I've tried, I thought I could be. I'm no painter. But I would love to have the other 4 Iron Legion. But this is the first Ultron. He's a mess. He looks good. A conglomeration of Iron Man suits and Iron Legion suits. That's how this was crafted together from the little wreck pile in Avengers Tower. The Ultron. So this was the first one. Mark 1. And then when you bought, and I don't remember which figure this came with. I think this actually came out before the Mark 1 did. It did, actually, come out before the Mark 1 did. And there's great differences between the two if you were to compare them truthfully side by side. But this is essentially the evolution of Ultron. So it goes from that to this. And I guess I'm really kind of going backwards because that's not true. He begins life as an Iron Legion, right? But not really, because he didn't inhabit an Iron Legion body. He created that body from Iron Legion and Iron Man suits. And like I said, I wish that they had made the other 4 of these. All of the painting that was required to change this over, all that red would have to be painted the color, the gold, the purple, the black, blue. I think that's what the colors are. I think it's gold, purple, black, blue. No, wait, gray, purple, blue, gold, and red. Those are the 5 colors: gray, purple, gold, blue, and red. The purple's kind of an eggplant color, dark purple, almost appears black. But you would have to change all these numbers out to 1 through 5, and then paint all that red to the correct number, color. And that's just so much work. And this white is so beautiful. It's like a pearlescent white that they put on here. And I love this little guy. And he's uniquely designed. He's not like any other Iron Man figure in regards to how you take the battery compartments open to change his batteries out. They uniquely made him. And I was hoping that was going to be a foreshadowing of things to come in regards to the Iron Man suits being crafted and opened up in order to put the batteries into him, because it was done perfectly. He's so much easier. It's so much easier to change the batteries on this guy and to turn him on, all the batteries on him on this guy in comparison to the Iron Man suits. And they didn't continue on with that fabrication process of the way that was done. But this is number 3. They showed us number 1 at the shows before he was released. They previewed number 1. Number 1 was never made. And then they gave us number 3. And like I said, I wish we got the other 4. And it truthfully just falls under, literally, all they had to do was just paint them differently. For real. I mean, people all the time are complaining, oh, it's just a repaint, oh, it's just a repaint, oh, it's just a repaint. And then the time that they could have made a repaint or should have made a repaint, they didn't make the repaint. And I don't know what the hell's up with that. He's a villain, though he's not. Iron Legion's a good guy, but he became the Ultron. And so again, he didn't sell. A lot of people didn't buy him. I'm sure he's pretty rare because of that. Unlike other figures where there's a ton of them out there. And I'm very pleased to have him and would love to have the others. And if I was a millionaire and could afford to have somebody paint them to match the proper colors of the other 4, I would have bought 4 more and painted them as such. But of course, that's not happening ever. So along this line, they made a diorama piece of when they had fought, when Ultron had taken over. And so this is the number 4. So essentially this is really what we have in regards to the Iron Legion. And this is that eggplant purple color. Number 4 is. Number 1 is gray. And then there's 2 and 5. I think 2 is blue. And I think 5 is gold, if I remember correctly. And again, you can't compare these two in regards to realisticness or consistency because they're made just a little bit differently. This guy has on his back some micro print right below his number, which this guy does not. And I would imagine they would all have the same thing. But this is a little diorama of the number 4 of the Iron Legion. So he gets a place as well. I actually have them displayed on these little stands because they really are as they are. They're not just a diorama piece like the Outrider. They showed us that they were going to make an Outrider. Back to villains. And then this is what we end up getting. I think there was a red one that was available with the War Machine. I did not buy the deluxe War Machine to get the red one. This black and gold one I think came with Captain America. I don't remember. But obviously if they're giving us this, they're not giving us the full figure. We won't get an Outrider. Even though they teased it, it's not going to happen. So there's a bad guy. It's just like the Chitauri Soldiers. You could have bought the Chitauri Soldiers like 3 years later. Brand spanking new still from the store. Never sold. And I think they were selling after it was all said and done for like $75 a piece or something to that effect. And that motivates retailers in regards to their ordering, which motivates Hot Toys in regards to their manufacturing. So we really cause it upon ourselves. We really do. And I can understand that. When you're dropping, these figures first started off right around $200, less than that. And now they're averaging at pushing 300 and more, some of them 400, the die-cast figures. And, the big figures, Hulk, as such, have always been more expensive. So when there's so many figures out there and you only have so much money to spend, it's difficult to divide that all out. So I understand the vicious circle of it. But unfortunately, we end up missing out because of all that. We don't get to fill up a collection with all these figures, unlike the 112 scale collectors. And to use 112 scale to group that collector is really a loose interpretation because it just happens to be those figures that are about that scale. There are many figures that aren't true to even 112 scale. So there's a 112 scale collection hobby, and then there's figures that are that size that really aren't 112 scale. But those, they crank those out all day long because they're just an inexpensive figure and not as detailed as these guys are. Although there are some 112 scale figures out there that are very detailed. They're getting better and better. Phicen's cranking up the 112s now, so you can get seamless bodies, which is really cool. So now, after that, we got the Sentries, and again they showed us a Sentry, but a Sentry never came to. We got the little diorama Sentry and Ultron Prime, so let's go get it. Actually, I don't even think it's an Ultron Prime. I think it's just an Ultron. I don't think we ever got the Prime. If I remember correctly, there's more pieces required to make him a Prime. I may be wrong in my recollection, but so this was the Sentry we got. Even though they showed us a Sentry, we never got one. We never got Hammer Drones. They never even teased us with Hammer Drones. I'd love to have the Hammer Drones. That'd be great. But they teased us with a Sentry, which we never got. We ended up getting this diorama piece for a Sentry, and it would have been great to get an Ultron Sentry. Army building, right? More or less. But like I said, I referenced back to the Chitaris. And then we have Ultron. And, I mean, look at the size of him. Again, not die-cast. He's very well put together. I don't have any complaints on him. He lights up beautifully. He's pretty articulated. He's got some weird little things here that don't move very well. But it was how they had to create him in order to be able to get the appearance of it. This is his display base. I bought, I don't remember who made it, but they made an Avengers piece where they could fight these guys. And I bought one of the three. You can get a big whole circle of them and put your Avengers on that to fight up against him. It's a really nice piece, really nice diorama piece. And so I display this at his feet. No, I wanted a Sentry. I want all the pieces. I really do. And that's the bad thing about, again, the 1/6 scale hobby. Let's come in on this guy a little bit. Like I said, if I remember correctly, there's some pieces of him that are missing in order to make him a full-on Ultron Prime. If I remember correctly. It's dusty. All these figures have got dusty, so before I put them back, I dust them off. I don't have enclosed figure cases for these guys. I've seen the Claw, and I want to order him. I'm saving my money to pay for my gosh darn War Machine Punisher. There's so many figures I want to get. My video's stopped here. But yeah, the Claw is definitely one of them. For fact. Totally for fact. Where's the chat? I've lost all the chat. The Claw and the female Venoms. For fact. Let's see if we can get back here through this chat. I want my bird. That's right. Killmonger is a great figure. I personally think he looks better than the normal Black Panther. Michael B. Jordan head sculpt is great. I was kind of disappointed how they decided to give us that head sculpt. I pre-ordered Killmonger and then I had to cancel him because of money issues. He came out back when things were bad for me. And I regret not getting him, just like my Doctor Strange 2. All these figures that I've had to pass on. Bucky from Infinity Wars with the dissolving arm. All these figures I planned on getting that I've not been able to follow through on. But I've seen a third-party head sculpt, which I think is better than the Hot Toys one. And getting the Sentries, I'm still salty about it. I'm with you, man. Where's the freaking Sentries? The decision whether I should buy some. Yeah, the older versions are just a bullet. I know, man. I know. Buy the older ones or what? It's crazy right now. The Sentries are different than the Iron Legion. We were just talking about it. This is the Sentries. These are the Sentries. That's Iron Legion. But yeah, these are all the same. I think they had some of the blue and some of the red eyes, right? Is that right? My memory serving me correctly? Blue eyes, red eyes. I still have Nebula, both Thanos and Mysterio, that I have to pre-order in the next 2 years. Right? That's my question about Nebula. In the new Captain Marvel figure that they've released, where they have all the female figures back there, they show Mantis, which hasn't been announced, and they show Nebula with the gold head piece. Although the Nebula that they've sold and shipped doesn't have the gold headpiece, so I don't know what that's about. Wondering, could you put RoboCop head on Sentry's body? You mean Iron Legion? His head's different. So I don't know if this would fit inside of a RoboCop. His head's a little different. So is the ball joint, but it's just differently assembled there. Don't know if you can get it on there or not, and it look right without doing some modification. So your Starry Soldiers, both set and individuals, are back on sale on Sideshow. Wow. And I bought both. They're all three. I bought the Chitauri Soldier, I bought the Foot Soldier, I bought the Chitauri Commander, and I bought the set. I think the set comes with an extra weapon. I think is the only difference between them two, truthfully. Jeez. You have any tips for starting out with collecting figurines? I really would appreciate it. Collect what you love. Do not buy a figure that you have absolutely no connection to. That's the biggest tip, for fact. There's so much out there that you could easily find what it is that you have a connection to. You should be able to take comfort, solace, rest in just enjoying looking at your figure and be reminded of a scene from a movie, or being able to recreate that scene from a movie, or being able to examine that character closer in your hand, and look at the detail to it, and discover something that you didn't recognize or realize in the movie with the figure. And if you have a figure you have no emotional connection to, what's the point in it? 1/6 scale figures take up a lot of real estate. They require a lot of area to display them, and you'll want to make sure that you have that real estate to them. And I wish I had cases to put them in. So I suppose it falls down to like somebody made a comment about how crappy my camera is. It's like, okay, I got $300. Do I buy a camera or do I buy a figure? I got $300. Do I buy display cases or do I buy a figure? I've made the choice to buy a figure every single time, and I wish I had cases. Wish I had, nicer this and nicer that. But I've got the figures, and that's what really makes me happy, is owning the figures. And you want to try to get an action pose if you can, but keep in mind some figures, when you put their arms or legs into certain poses, you could end up doing damage to them. Some of the figures require a little pre-care to keep them from dissolving, and or some repair in regards to owning them over time. But collect what you love, for real. Make sure that you have a connection to the figure when you buy it. Whether it's something that speaks to you specifically, or it's required in order for you to be able to tell your story of the pose that you're recreating from the movie, or whatever it is you're doing, make sure that there's a connection there. If there's no connection, you're really just wasting money, truthfully. Make sure there's a connection. It's probably the biggest. Collect what you love. That's probably the biggest advice I can give you. Robert Just Fan talking about how he kit matches his figures to get the ones that he wants. Yeah, and that's another whole form of the hobby. When you have to put a figure together, like Obadiah here, you couldn't buy an Obadiah as such, or my Loki over there in his suit. You get a nicer connection to him. He becomes personally yours, even though it's still a Hot Toys head sculpt in both of these instances. This figure, I made him. He's unique. He's mine. Nobody else has this exact figure or that exact figure. You could have bought the accessories yourself and make that figure, but I made him. You know what I mean? He's mine. I made him. And I can understand that in you guys that kit bash these figures and make these beautiful creations of that. You know, it's yours. You did that. And that's another real fun part of the hobby. And chasing down those pieces. Ultron Prime was not the final version. I believe it was Revoltech came with the parts to make him the final version. Not in 1/6 scale. I've never seen 1/6 scale parts. The King Arch or somebody made a 1/9. You could buy the Ultron, then you could buy the parts for 1/9 scale, but not in 1/6 scale. I've not seen anybody that's made the 1/6 scale. We're making Claw, yeah, definitely. Oh my God, I so badly want that Claw. He will look so good. Oh man, he will look so good. I feel like War Machine Punisher head sculpt maybe swap with the Netflix Punisher. Hey, that's been my opinion as well. For fact, I would take the Frank Castle from the Netflix Punisher and put it on there. But in hindsight, even on top of that, I don't believe I would ever display the Punisher War Machine without the Punisher War Machine head's helmet. Really, because that's really more of it. You know that. In my opinion, without that head sculpt of the Iron Skull on it, or the skull on it, it doesn't necessarily sell as much Punisher. It's more War Machine with a Punisher paint job on it. But when you do the full on head sculpt, for some reason, I don't know why, in my mind, he's even more so the Punisher. If that makes any sense whatsoever. So I don't think I would ever display my War Machine Punisher when he arrives with the Frank Castle head sculpt that comes with it. But no, I'm the same way. I love the Netflix Frank Castle Punisher head sculpt, and I think that would look tons better on that War Machine Punisher. And I'm sure you could find them. It's probably going to be difficult to find them after a while because he's such a rare piece in the first place. For anybody to destroy him and kit bash for the head sculpt, oh my God. But I think there's companies out there that are making a third-party head sculpt on that. So it might not be too difficult to find that head sculpt for that. Speaking of my Crossbones, he's over here. I don't want to dig him out. I've been kind of trying to repair him and kit bash him. One of the problems that I always had with this company that made this Crossbones, and maybe I can get him out here. Hold on, give me a second. Is he's really not that close to the way that he was in the movie. So I've been working on him to make him more and more better in comparison to how he's supposed to be in the movie. I changed out his pants. And he needs a body armor. So this always just comes off. I bought these pants, these black camo pants, because this AI doll Crossbones that we got came with just black pants. He's not wearing black pants. He's wearing black camo pants. But this was made by AI doll? Hell, I don't even remember now. I'm sorry. But I got problems with him. So I broke this Rubbermaid Tupperware dish. I'm going to see if there's any way that I can cut this up in some capacity to give him the chest piece that he's missing. So I've got this piece of junk over here specifically for that reason. So back to the villains. I didn't think I was going to pull him out, but he needs some work. I have him over on here on my desk to work on. And he's the closest thing that we'll ever get to a Crossbones, even though Hot Toys showed us a Crossbones. They'll never make them. And I'll be happy to get him done. And he's a good representation of it. If you're to see him on the shelf, you would, and you know anything about the movies, you would say, oh, well, that's Crossbones. I recognize him. But he's not 100% accurate. Doggone close, but not really. He's a He's a idealized realization facsimile representing Crossbones from the movie Captain America Civil War. And again, they kind of shortchanged Crossbones too. They took him out way too early in the movie. I would like to see more of him. He deserved more. He was in all the other movies though, so I guess he got a lot of airtime, if you will. But I think they should have. I think they shortchanged him. He deserved more in the movie. He really did. My opinion, for whatever it's worth. Xavier, which one? McEndore? Macklemore or Stewart? Right? Mark 1 Ultron. Oh, you mean over here? I think there was something different with this head sculpt too. I'm having difficulty with him. I'm not going to screw with him. It's this wire runs from his head down to his body here. I'm not going to pop his head off, but I think, if I remember correctly, there's something with the head here too. Don't know how difficult it would be to get him on there, but it would look pretty cool. There's some Star Wars figures that kind of look like that too. Our characters, right? Figures look a lot better when they are 3D like this and not inside cages. I agree, but the dust is just, oh my god. Unless you live in a hermetically sealed house and yourself you're wearing like a freaking what do they call those suits where your skin doesn't fall off because a lot of the dust is created from our own bodies. You know, you're always going to get dust on your figures. Unless you got them in a case or in a cage. Obadiah needs an ear blaster thing, right? Right? I bet you with some of the Spider-Man USB sticks that we've seen about, that would work, wouldn't it? A little blaster. Oh man, Dick Jones. God, I bet you that was difficult to come about, right? What did you use for the head sculpt? Ed 209. What a great looking piece that is. They keep bashing in parts into tight ends, half open parts. Pants look like Miyari. Yeah, that was when I first bought a pair of pants for him. They didn't fit. No, wait, it was for Spider Man that I was trying to do. I was trying to do a Peter B. busted home hobo Spider Man, and the pants didn't go on. These do. I kind of gave up on my Kit Bash Hobo Parker because Young Rich Toys, I think, made him. I should be getting him within a year or two. Right? So they always make their breasts larger than what they should be. The Maria Hill figure made by Hot Toys is perfect though, right? That's the size that she is. But if you're trying to take a Phicen figure and put them into some of these, you know, they just have big breasts. And that's not always the case with every single woman. It'd be interesting to see if Phicen would ever make smaller breast figures. I mean, for real. Like a B cup. Just look, Nebula in the in-game Captain Marvel photos does not have the orange face piece. Are you sure in the Captain Marvel, the new Captain Marvel ones where they have the whole setup there? I'm pretty sure I thought that she had the gold in that photo. I'll have to look again. Thanks for checking that out. A hazmat suit to keep your dust in, right? I just bought an air purifier for dust. I needed one since my doctor recommended me one for the virus. Interesting. What'd that cost? I don't know. SADIA? Cydia? So, oh, Sadia. Oh my God. Don't get me started on that. she's not Mary Jane. She's freaking Michelle, right? In that scene where she said, "Call me MJ," that really torqued me off beyond belief. I mean, for real. I get it. Spider-Man's in alternate universes, and I love that fact, and I embrace all of the alternate universes. I don't care how they make Spider-Man. If you ever seen that movie, the one with, I think it was Jet Li, where he has all of his alternate selves living in all of the alternate universes in the world, and I think Jason Statham was like one of the police that kept everybody from, being out of balance or whatever. They showed all of those versions of him, and I see the same thing with Spider-Man. I could see truthfully a LGBTQ Spider-Man, an alternate non-binary Spider-Man. That's fine. I'm cool with that. You know, don't take my Spider-Man and say one day he decides to come out of the closet 25 years later. I'd have a problem with that. But if you wanted to make a Spider-Man that had already done that in an alternate universe, I'd be cool with that. If you want to make a Mary Jane that Zendaya plays as a Mary Jane, okay, that's cool. But this is your main storyline character. And Mary Jane has a main thing, Her name is Mary Jane. And Gwen Stacy and Betty Bryant. These are the women that were involved in Peter's life. Michelle was not involved in Peter's life. There was no Michelle MJ that was involved in Peter's life. And MJ is a nickname that they had for her, Mary Jane, MJ. So when she says MJ, they literally now have just killed any Mary Jane that we could have in this universe, because it's wrong to call your new girlfriend the name of your old girlfriend. So if you ever meet Mary Jane, it would be so doggone tacky to call her MJ, because now she's a replacement for MJ, who Michelle has told us that's what she wants to be called as. I would have no problem with him having a love interest with Zendaya. I have no problem with him having a love interest with Michelle. But don't call her MJ. That's my problem. You know what I mean? That's my problem. She's not MJ. She is not MJ. She's Michelle, whatever her last name is, Johnson or whatever. I have no idea what her last name is. But she's not MJ. She's not. I'm sorry. She's not Mary Jane. There is a Mary Jane, obviously, in this universe. There'd have to be. There would have to be a Mary Jane unless something happened to that Mary Jane that she died and didn't exist. In all the alternate universes, there's an alternate of everybody, right? You are here, you're in this universe, you're in that universe, you're in that universe, in this other universe, and whatever else, all these parallel universes. You exist in all of them. And these theories of the multiple universe stories, you exist in all of them. Different forms of you. A lady Deadpool. There's a lady you. There's a dog you. There's a squirrel you there. You know what I mean? There's a homosexual you there. There's a non-binary you there. You know what I mean? And that's fine. It's acceptable. But, where's Mary Jane? And now we can't call her MJ. That's my problem. Have Zendaya be his love interest, but the moment that they decided she was going to be MJ, oh, God. That's my problem. No problem with him having a love interest with Zendaya. No problem with him having a love interest with Michelle. I have a problem with her being MJ. She's not MJ. She's not Mary Jane. Mary Jane exists in that universe. She has to. Unless she was killed. Gwen Stacy, Gwenpool, whatever, died in the 616 Marvel universe. Gwen Stacy is alive in the other universes. Peter Parker's died in the other universes. You know what I mean? That's not MJ. That's not MJ. It's not. I have no problem with Michelle. I have no problem with Zendaya. I have no problem with the character. I have no problem with the actress. I have a problem with them calling her MJ as a replacement for Mary Jane. Got a problem with that. He could have had a relationship with Gwen Stacy. He could have had a relationship with Betty Deeds. He could have had Betty Bryant. He could have had a relationship with Felicia Hardy. There's all these women that have been involved in his life. Michelle has not been any of them, and that's fine. But she's not MJ. That's my problem and complaint about all of that. Yeah, I'd love to have a Zendaya. I'd love to. She's Michelle, right? She's not MJ. I don't know what I think about the setup. I guess I wouldn't have a problem with it, truthfully. He's not the mainstream 616 Earth. He's the 199999 Earth. I assume that's where we're saying that Peter lives in. And then there's like the crossover with the Sony. Are we saying that Venom is in 199999 Earth? MCU? 199999? Is that where the Sony Venom is? Obviously, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man are different universes. Again, Spider-Man story, different universe. So we have that freedom to do that. But don't don't trample on an established character and change him as far as that goes. I guess I wouldn't have a problem if Spider-Man, Marvel Cinematic Universe, Sony Spider-Man had gender identity issues. I guess I wouldn't have a problem with that if he was bisexual or whatever. I have no problem with that. But don't take like Earth 616 Spider-Man and say, oh yeah, now he's homosexual. I'd have a problem with that. My golly, do it from the beginning. You know, don't try to make a point. Don't try to become politically correct. Don't try to. I mean, I know I'm talking on hallowed grounds here. We're not supposed to discuss these things because it hurts people's feelings and people get offended by it. And I understand that. But I don't see the point in doing some of these things that they do when they do that. I don't. I really don't. I don't see the point in it. I don't see the point in it. I really don't. There's so many other things you can do. Why screw something up? Why go in and retouch the Mona Lisa? Not to restore it to originalness, but to change it. Why would you do that? Take the Mona Lisa off the wall, repaint it, turn it into something else. Why? This is what the creation was. This was where it was signed. This is how it was finished. This is what was given to us. Don't now go change it. If you want to make a different Mona Lisa, make a different one. Don't change the original. The original is what the original is. If you want to make your own variation of a Mona Lisa, have at it and enjoy yourself. And it may become more popular and more famously known than the original. And that's great. But you don't screw with the original. That work of art is done. That seems to be also the discussion that we came up with when they digitized the Star Wars movies. And Lucas went through and fixed a lot of things. And one of the things that he did was he removed the actor that played Darth Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi and the ghost apparition of Darth Vader. I forget his name. He was just removed, totally ripped out of there, and they put the young Darth Vader in there, the young Anakin in there. It's like just a complete insult to that actor. It's like, yeah, you know what you did don't mean jack. Or when they went through and what these model makers had done on the destruction of the Death Star with their pyrotechniques and the ability of filming that small scale miniature, and they removed it and replaced it with CGI. You know, you're just really kicking someone in the teeth over the work that they created. And when a creator creates something, an actor portrays something, a work of art is fabricated to later go through there and just deface it and destroy it and turn it into something else than what was made originally, that's wrong. If you want to make your own version of it, that's cool. No problem with that. Don't destroy what was already done to try to fit some other agenda that happens to be cool today. Because what's cool today isn't cool tomorrow. You know? What was popular back then isn't popular today. Sure, there's evolving works, but then there's works that are not evolving. So that's my opinion on all of that. for whatever that's even worth. Oh. The nice part about that is Zendaya, if they would have just called her Mary Jane, would have been fine. I would have had no problem with her being Mary Jane. If they wanted to call her Mary Jane, fine. Domino changed, Nick Fury changed. These characters are different than what they were given to us in the comics. Big frickin' whoop. If they had made her Mary Jane, that'd have been great. But they didn't make her Mary Jane, they made her Michelle. So yeah, I'm in agreement with you. If that's my problem. That's my problem. So now what? When he bumps into the real Mary Jane, he's going to call her MJ too? This is MJ. MJ mean MJ. MJ. That's my MJ, that's your MJ. Yeah, I love you, MJ. Which one? Larry Osborne, Chinese to make the story. Jeez. I got a date with MJ. Which one, right? Next reboot, Mei Jing. My friends call me MJ. And you guys are with me, I think. It sounds like most of you understand exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm not trying to be, uncaring or whatever, because I'm fine with whatever it is that you want to do or whatever it is that you feel you are. And I'm sorry for whatever struggle that you have to go through in your life, for whatever reason that life goes on you, because we all go through struggles, and not a single one of us haven't gone through something. I got beat up as a kid. I still get picked on even at this age. I mean, I'm overweight. I walk funny because I'm disabled. Whatever. People are people. They're going to find a reason to pick on you. They're like, stop bullying. That's impossible. It's impossible. Little kids are cruel. People are cruel. It's what we do. What can I say? So you're going to have to go through some type of suffering from somebody somehow, no matter what. There's not a single one of us on here that doesn't live through life. It's why we call it life. And that's why we all know that we all have our own struggle. Every one of us. And when we look back on our life, I forget who was it said it, but when you look back on someone's life as a whole, everyone's life is a tragedy and a comedy. Everybody. All of our lives are. Nobody's life is perfect. I hate to tell you. No matter how you think someone may be living, something's going on in their life, or they've had some struggle that they've had to deal with. Some people's struggles are more in the open or easily visible than others. But we all have struggles. Trust me. And everyone's going to get picked on for one reason or another. Too smart, too stupid. Too beautiful, too ugly. Too tall, too short. Too fat, too skinny. Too fast, too slow. I'm sorry. You're going to get picked on. You've got too much, you don't have enough. Too rich, too poor. You're going to get it. I'm with you guys, man. I'm not trying to turn this into a fight or whatever, but we all have our own paths. We all have our own struggles. And you don't have to change an established piece of creation or art to pander to me or to anyone, I don't believe. I don't believe for 1 second that anyone literally... I have a hard time honestly believing that somebody is offended, for instance, if they didn't make Batman and Robin gay. And there's things that people have talked about that for decades, that Batman and Robin had some type of relationship going on. You know what I mean? You hear that all the time in the back circles. And I have a hard time truthfully believing that somebody's so petty that they're going to stand up and say, if you don't make my Batman and Robin gay, I'm boycotting and I'm going to cause a stink and I'm suing everybody and their brother. What's the point? For real. I think Nick Fury is a bad motherfucker. I really do. I would love to aspire to be Nick Fury from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Do I feel cheated that I don't look like him? No. It's the truth of it. Am I angry because I can't fly like Superman? Give me a break. Do I feel I need to turn into the Incredible Hulk and Hulk out into a freaking 16-foot tall figure and be green? How dare you exclude me because I can't become green and turn 16 feet tall? Give me a break. Come on. Oh, we have to make Hulk now, but we can't make him green and 16 feet tall because he offends people when he's like that. Han Solo shot first. Han shot Guido. Wasn't self-defense. Han's a bad guy. He was a pirate. He was a lowlife. He shot first. But there would have to be a Mary Jane in the MCU unless she died. That's the whole beautiful part about alternate universes. You exist in every other universe. Not necessarily the you that you are here, but you exist. So unless Mary Jane changed her name to Michelle for some insane reason, or maybe Mary is her first name and Michelle is her middle name, she has two middle names and she decided she just wanted to go with Michelle because Mary happens to be her mother, or God knows whatever screwy crap that they could make up. But Mary Jane exists in every universe. And we've seen that with the Peter Parker in the Spider-Verse. Literally, when that movie was starting, and Peter makes his appearance, and he's blonde hair and blue-eyed, first thing I said was, wait a minute, Peter Parker's not blonde haired, blue-eyed. But in this universe, he was. Peter Parker was blonde haired, blue-eyed. And Cola was spelled with a K. And as the movie was unfolding there in the beginning, I'm watching all these inconsistencies with the stories that I'm familiar with. I'm like, what in the world's going on? Why did they make a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Peter Parker? I don't understand that. And then it was revealed that, of course, he was an alternate universe Spider-Man. More so than what you knew. You knew it was an alternate universe Spider-Man, but you didn't realize it was a true, full-on alternate universe Spider-Man. And in that universe, Peter Parker was blonde-haired, blue-eyed. Peter Parker, the mainstream Peter Parker, is brown-haired, brown eyes. Mainstream. So in this one, he's blonde-haired, blue-eyed. So changes are fine. Nick Fury is doesn't look anything like Nick Fury from the comics. Domino doesn't look anything like Domino from the comics. I'm fine with that. They're still the same character, more or less. You know what I mean? But Michelle is not Mary Jane. She said her name was Michelle. How could she be MJ? She's not Mary Jane. Unless Mary's her real name. And if they decide to write that in to close the gap and to give us closure, I'm cool with that. Got no problem with that. But if she's Michelle and she's not Mary Jane, then where's Mary Jane? She would have to exist. Gwen Stacy's dead in Earth 616. Gwen Stacy's not dead in the other universes. Like she says, she lost Peter Parker. Peter Parker's dead in her reality. And she's the one that became Spider-Gwen. Peter died. She's the one that got bit by the radioactive spider. She's Spider-Man. But she's not. Peter Parker's dead in her universe. Right? So as long as there's a story explaining it, that's fine with me. But she's not Mary Jane. She's Michelle. Wanda. I don't think Wanda is a redhead. You're talking about Scarlet Witch. But obviously, Black Widow continually changes her hair color. Pretty sexy with her red hair. Black Widow died in Endgame. Yeah. Mr. Stark, I need help. I got a date with 2 MJs. David Hasselhoff, Nick Fury. Was there a David Hasselhoff, Nick Fury? Don't change your character's background. Just pat themselves in the back. Give it a reason why the change is made in the story. Thank you. You don't have to step on your fans to tell a story. The character became what the character became because of the fans. Kathleen Kennedy just walked all over the Star Wars fans saying, we didn't make this for you. We don't care about you. Go FO, whatever, I got a problem with that. This became what it is because of us. A movie comes out and it's a complete failure. And they're like, why? Because it sucked? And they're not going to make any more. They're not going to continue on with the franchise. They're not going to make another reversion of that movie. They're not going to do this or that or whatever else because they suck. So, your fans didn't make that movie become a franchise and turn into a multi-billion-dollar market. Those of us that did are the ones you still have to pander to, I hate to say. And then you get angry whenever we turn on you because you made crap. It's because you made crap. Jeez. $162 pay for Obadiah? Yeah, actually you can. I was moving my Velma and Daphne around. Velma's hair came off. Imagine my Scooby-Doo Velma head sculpt on the hair piece on Obadiah here, right? I'm not gonna go get it over here. It took me a while because her glasses and the hair and all that. It took me a while to get it back on there, but yeah, there you go. Put the Velma's hair on Obadiah. Here's a fun game. Look at your figure. What do you think of Obadiah weight is looking at the figure? 150, 178? I don't know. I'm bad at that. I mean, there's no way would you guys guess what I weigh. I'll tell you that much. If I were to tell you, you wouldn't believe it. So I don't know. He looks pretty skinny, doesn't he? He looks tall. He looks tall and skinny. I'm going to guess 178. But yeah, he's not a beefy guy. Not a beefy guy at all. Unlike Crossbones here, he looks pretty beefy. I'd say he's pushing 200 or more. What's Peter? 150? I really don't know. I don't know the weight of people that are that height. I know my weight is. Bane is Latino, but we have not seen him portrayed in that way in movies. Interesting. Yeah, 180. Best example in Star Wars, they ruined the original characters and insulted the fans when they complained, and later blamed the fans because they didn't watch their crap in Rise of Skywalker. Hello. I talked about this, I think it was last week. Truthfully, in my opinion, when they made 7, 8, and 9, I really believe that they miswrote Kylo Ren and Rey. Swear to God. 100%. If 7, 8, and 9, if they still use the same characters, if they still use Adam Driver and Daisy Riddle, I think is her name, still use the same characters, okay? But if Daisy played the Kylo Ren and if Adam Driver played the Rey, I think that would have been a better story. Literally, we see Adam Driver, tromping through Tatooine or whatever planet they're supposed to be on. I think it was Tatooine. is him as the Ray. And then we see Ray show up. You know, we don't see we see the mask first. We see this Darth Vader-esque figure. And if that helmet had come off and it was Daisy under there, oh, man. In my opinion, that would have been a so much better story. It really would have. I would have loved to have seen her be the bad guy. Oh, man, oh, man. I think that's where they made the mistake. They wanted to make a point. And then they totally screwed it up in the last movie where they dismissed the studying and the path of a Jedi and what's required to become a Jedi and the years and years and years of discipline and whatever else, and just gave it to her. But still, I truthfully believe, in my opinion, if they had made the Rey played by Adam Driver, and still the same character, but just have him be that character and have her be the other character, I think that would have been a whole better story. They still messed it all up. They still just really screwed everything up out of that whole thing, and the final movie was just a complete and utter insult. And the way they dismissed Luke was wrong. For fact. I think Han went okay, but the way they dismissed Luke was just complete and utter bull. That was just stupid. Stark 170, yeah, or less. 150. You kill Luke, don't care anymore, right? Bane was Latino in Dark Knight. Bane was Latino in Dark Knight. That's why Tom Hardy had a Caribbean accent. Interesting. It was proper casting of the courts like Captain America and the Sam. Yes. 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 That's how you do it. Boba Fett coming back probably screwed him up. Did he actually come back? Oh, right, because when they redid the movie, they digitized it. We see him flying out of the pit of the Sarlacc. Isn't that what this thing is called? The pit of the Sarlacc? George admitted that he made a mistake. He didn't realize that when he created the Boba Fett character that he would be as popular and well-received and well-liked as he is and was. And so that's why he had to change that. And I'm glad that he changed that. I haven't seen any of The Mandalorian, and I've not seen any of the Clone Wars, so I don't really understand where we're going with the Mandalorian Boba Fett storyline here and the Baby Yoda. I don't even know what all that even is, but it's interesting. It's interesting to see how all that's coming about. What was his? So Boba Fett was the son of Jango Fett, right? And Jango Fett was the model for the clone troopers, right? So all the original stormtroopers originally were clones, right? So weren't all the stormtroopers clones? And that's why we aren't supposed to have any real attachment to them when they died, because they weren't real or something? I don't know. I guess I'm kind of guessing here as to what it's supposed to be. But they were all clones of the original Jango Fett, right? And Boba Fett was Jango Fett's son. So you're thinking the Mandalorian is Boba Fett's son? No, I have not seen a Deadpool Boba Fett music rap. Sounds interesting. I'll have to Google that and find it. Sounds very interesting. Boba Fett wasn't Jango Fett's son. It was a clone. So Boba Fett was a clone? So was Jango Fett who they cloned him? Boba Fett wasn't Jango Fett's son. So who was Jango Fett's son? Because we've seen the son, right? So who was Jango Fett's son? What's his name? Because we've seen him in the movies, right? Or I don't know. Um, I'm not going to go over the Wakandans tonight or today. I also didn't get through the rest of the Avengers in there, which has Captain America and Black Widow, the Ultron, Age of Ultron Avengers that are in there. My Hulk, um, Thor, Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, Captain America, and Quicksilver. So next week we'll do those guys and the Wakanda characters, and we'll do Tony and Pepper and the 2 or 3 Tonys I have, and the Pepper that I have, and that will be next week. Because I guarantee you, if I haven't heard from Big Bad Toy Store yet that my War Machine Punisher is available to be paid for, I will not have it by Saturday next week. So if next week they contact me and tell me that it's in stock and ready to be paid for, then I would get it the Saturday after that. So nonetheless, we have to go through next Saturday as it is. And after next Saturday, if I don't have anything going on, I don't know what the hell I'll do. I really need to just get the 4K camera out and just pan through everything. So that might be what the next Saturday one. Maybe we'll do a live preview, a live premiere of that, and we'll discuss it as it comes on. Might just do that. Because I really do want to get all this in 4K. I mean, the honesty, I'm going to tell you right now, there's over $60,000 worth of figures sitting here. So you got these guys out there, their arms spread wide, showing off their $20,000 figure collection. God bless them. I'm glad that they have it. I don't like to advertise how much these cost. I want my wife. It bothers her when she thinks about it. But, you know, it adds up. It really does. So, in case you're curious, do the math. 200 figures times $300. Add up. Add it up. They want an unaltered clone and treat him like a son. Is that what it was? Whoa. I didn't know that. Wow. I did not know that. Where did they explain that? What movie, or was it in the Clone Wars? How did that information come about? I did not know that. Wow. $50 for the whole collection. Ah! Dude, I don't even know if that would even get you a head sculpt. Sheesh. So I'm happy to spend my time with you this morning. Thanks for tuning in. Of course, share, like, subscribe. Let people know where they can go to see me. Um, Subscribe to my Patreon. Become a Patreon supporter. Essentially, it's like going to a restaurant. Your service is well, you give her a tip or him a tip. You drop $1 or $2 or $3 on the table. Throw me $1 a month. Just consider it a tip that I'm doing well, that you agree with what I'm doing, and you want me to continue. It's not going to pay for my figures, dude. If you were to do it every month for a year, it'd be $12. And actually, after the taxes come out of it, it ended up being like 70 cents. So I would get $8.50. But it's nice to know that you guys care enough to do that. The whole purpose of Patreon. It really is. So throw me a tip. Become a Patreon supporter, and I'll be happy to announce your name every week. The people that I have currently that have supported me, the one person that's a Patreon supporter and the one that has sent me a figure, both of you guys had asked that I don't share who you were. I gladly would. I'll tell you everything I do. I'd put your name up there if you want me to. No problem with that. So if you want to see your name in lights or hear your name broadcast out, I'll do that for you. I have no problem with that. So thank you very much. I'll see you guys next week. Stay careful out there. Stop rioting if you're involved in that. Give me a freaking break and wake up. A riot is not a protest. Dissatisfaction is no need for destruction. If you want to talk backwards and say, look what they did at the Boston Tea Party, from my understanding, they didn't destroy the city. They didn't burn Boston to the ground. They threw the tea overboard, destroyed the tea to make a point. Yeah, they may have stole. Somebody had said that they stole the liquor. Okay, so they stole the liquor. You know, they didn't destroy everything. Somebody said I'd heard that somebody said that when they busted open a lock to get to where it was that they were going, they replaced the lock. So yeah, there's a reason to be angry, and there's a reason for an uprising, but there's no reason for rioting to prove a protest. That's bull. You don't break into a jewelry store or a shoe store or a delicatessen or a gun store and rob the place blind because you're protesting the actions of a government entity. Give me a break. What the hell does that jewelry store have to do? What did Target have to do with it? Nothing. You guys are being stupid. Stop it. Wake up before you screw it all up for all of us forever. Peace out, man. I love you guys.